Welcome to Soulful Success by Design, the podcast for women who are done playing small, done following the rules, and ready to create success on their own terms. I'm Kendra Woods, a soul aligned business mentor, 6'2" splenic projector, and the midwife to women's breakthroughs. For nearly a decade, I've been guiding ambitious women like you to step out of old paradigms of success and step fully into your next evolution through the art of human design, mindset, quantum energetics, and identity work. Here, we treat business like what it truly is: a sacred, creative process, a place to embody your becoming. So if you're ready to rise, ready to rewire how you think about success, and ready to lead from your soul, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Soulful Success by Design podcast, the podcast for soul-led women entrepreneurs who are here to redefine success on their own terms. This is the Redefining Success movement, where we trade hustle for alignment, trends for timelessness, and surface level strategy for deep soul-rooted leadership. And in today's episode, we are going to be diving into a raw and powerful conversation around unbecoming, desire, shame, the courageous journey of saying yes to your true self, even when the world is telling you otherwise, telling you not to. So today, I am joined I am joined by the beautiful Megan Ballantyne, an artist, a coach, many things, and one of the radiant, amazing women that I met and have met inside of this mastermind that I'm a part of. And so today we're going to have a deeply honest and healing dialogue about what it really looks like to dismantle old stories, reclaim your pleasure and your power, and live in devotion to your truth and not the roles that the world has assigned to you. So, for those of you listening, if you've ever felt the pull to burn it all down, burn the blueprint, follow your desires, or make peace with the parts of you that you were taught to hide, I think this conversation today is going to feel like a homecoming. So, Megan, welcome to the show. So happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful meeting you in this mastermind, and I'm so glad that you put this opportunity out there, and it's great to be here.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with, it's funny because when you and I were having our conversation a couple of weeks ago, I think I mentioned to you that a lot of my work is about, the becoming. And you said to me, and you were like, yeah, my journey has kind of been about the unbecoming. And
Yes.
and you said something powerful to me, that you said it took unbecoming everything you thought you were supposed to be to finally feel free. So, and you mentioned a moment that you had in Dubai. So can you like just take us back to that, like unbecoming? What was that journey like for you?
Yeah. You know, I'd say probably a bit of a slow awakening, let's say, luckily. In this new age spiritual stuff, people talk about this Kundalini awakening and they have this awful experience and everything blows up. And I think that that does happen, but that's really not the ideal way. You want to have a very slow, expansive experience of your consciousness. And for me, I sort of had that. And it started with yoga. And it was something I was like quite against doing and quite fearful of and scared of. And I saw people doing it, even though I'd been an athlete and represented my country. I was very fit and all of that, but yoga I had this resistance. Anyway, I started to do it, and it just changed everything for me. It shocked me in so many ways, physically, emotionally. Um, so that sort of got me a bit on my journey. So my career was kicking off and I was doing so well in the corporate world and working in the Middle East. And then I was starting to like sort of question all of these things that were supposed to be making me happy, you know, met great guy, got engaged, got married, had a beautiful apartment on the Palm, Dubai. I was a director, vice president, things are looking great, going on our holidays. But I just was feeling more and more empty. Like the more that I achieved and what I was told I should be achieving, the emptier and weirder I felt about things. And I just started to, I guess my mind started to open and I started to question a lot of things. And on my journey, I experienced miracles. I somehow was cured of an eating disorder I'd had for 27 years that I never thought I could be free of. In the Bible, I'm not religious, but I study different religions. And, Jesus had to walk on water for people to believe. Seeing is believing, so it's like I was always doubting Thomas. I was like, no, I'm so analytical. I'm like, this can't be right. Miracles? No, come on. The coincidence, but they were happening to me and other people could see it as well. So I had witnesses and it was like, wow, something's going on here. And I would be a real fool if I didn't explore this further. Um, so I either could have like tried to stay in the corporate world, but the universe was just kind of smacking me to leave that and go off and do something else, and which is really scary, but at the same time, really exciting. And I was just like, gosh, I've got one life. And I just kept having that thought. I've just got one life. So what am I going to do? I've got one life. Like, sure, I just got to do all the things. And then I didn't know what the things were, That became a part of the journey. So I'm like, what are all the things? I had an idea of a few things, but not that many. But yeah, so I had this gradual sort of awakening. And then I somehow built up the courage to leave all those things behind that really were not working for me or not working with me or towards me, or things that weren't lighting me up, the things that needed to end, maybe things that I was sticking around and playing safe, you know
Mm.
also really not wanting to hurt anyone. I was taking on all of the pain and responsibility of other people's unhappiness, and I also realized that I couldn't carry that burden anymore. That was a real tough one, but yeah, freedom comes in many
Mm.
shapes and forms. But yeah, that was sort of what got me going off on my journey. Like I needed the world to open up for me because things on the box that I ticked were not doing it.
Yeah. I love that you're speaking to this because this is one of those areas where I really resonate. Like our stories are similar in the sense of I went through that same journey of just like checking off the boxes, going to university, getting the degree, getting the great job, married, house, like all the things. And along the way,
Yeah,
you're thinking, yes, I'm doing it until you get to a point to where you're like, okay, wait, this is not what I thought it was going to be,
yeah.
or there's this like unfulfilled part of you that's still there. And the key
Mm,
piece that I want to pull out here is you said something about you recognized, you couldn't carry the emotions or the feelings or whatever, the emotions of other people. Like you had to just really focus on yourself and be responsible for what you desired and said, okay, I've got to do this for me because I
mm.
have just one life, right? And that you took a courageous step to do that. And so what I'm wondering is, what was going on in your mind when you knew? Because we have that moment, I feel like when we know, okay, I have got to
Yeah.
take a jump, I've got to do this, but then we might hesitate a bit. Like, did you have any of that going on within you?
Yes, I did. I did. I mean, I think I had these inklings and I was like, no, right, let me just, it must just be this agency I'm at and things aren't great. Let's, I was like, well, I'm going to go off and do my yoga teacher training and then I'll come back and see if I resign or not. And then I was like, all right, so this isn't working. Like it's a toxic environment. Let me change my environment because I know that that helps. So
Mm-hmm.
I changed the environment to somewhere else. Okay, it was all right in the beginning, you've got those like honeymoon vibes and everything's fine. And then it's like the same things start coming up and you're just like,
Yeah,
damn it, it didn't work. All right, let me
exactly.
try one more time. Let me just change my environment and change my workplace because that's where I spend most of my time. And it was just, the universe is just like smacking me, And so I took little sort of baby steps towards things. But, what was going on in my mind, I just knew like, I don't know, there was something in my soul that was calling that I just sort of had to listen to. And thank God for COVID, because it was in that
Mm.
lockdown that I got to be me without external factors so that I could see how different I was every day. Because every morning we'd get up and I'd go sit in my office, now without any people, my little home office, do the things. And every day I was showing up as like a different person. I felt different. One day I was hungry, one day I was like this, one day I was moody, one day I was that. So like ceteris paribus, all things were equal, but I was different every day. And I had this sort of mirror work going on. I could see that. And I was like,
Mhm.
all right, so I'm kind of happy working from home. I love connecting with people, but I also love being in my own space. But then I also realized that like I can see I have a new perspective on things around me. So that helped me take another sort of step. Um, and I just realized like, whoa, I'm so much happier not doing all the things that we were doing in Dubai and going out and seeing certain people and getting dressed up to go to the office every day. I was wearing my armor, my stilettos and my suits, all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And now I was like, I actually quite like not wearing them and not wearing any shoes. And what am I without all of these fancy things and this armor that I was carrying? So I had these sort of moments that helped me to break through stuff. So in my mind, I mean, I don't know what was going on. I was just like freaking just trying to get through day to day sometimes, 12,
Yeah.
14-hour days of craziness. But I kind of like I started to I'd done quite a few trainings, so I had these tools in my spiritual toolbox that were really really helping me. And
Mm-hmm.
again, they do what they say on the box. Do this thing, and you're going to feel this way. And I was like, okay, let me do that thing. And I was like, oh, I feel really great. So I had
Yeah.
suddenly the space and time to do more of these things and to be selfish, basically. COVID allowed me to be more selfish, whereas before I was quite devoted to my partner and my teams. And this allowed me to actually just give more time to myself, which I hadn't
Yeah.
really. I would have like a 10-second shower and
Hmm.
off I'd go.
Right.
Like the idea of having a
Right.
bath for 20, 30 minutes, like hadn't even occurred to me. And now that's my favorite thing. I'm like, I'm
Right.
gonna sit there maybe for an hour. So
Oh my gosh.
by God's grace or by something, I was given this little bit of space and time where I could enjoy these things and
Right.
to realize, oh, I like this. This is juicy. I'm feeling good.
Mm.
I'm enjoying energy healing and meditation. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying like these different things that I'm trying here. And they make me feel so good compared to achieving something at work, clients' feedback where they're so happy, getting drunk,
Mhm.
the high from a workout. I was just getting
Mhm.
joy from being. And I started to
Mm.
realize the difference between pleasure and joy and happiness. And I think
Mhm.
little, it was like a little nuancy click and switch and thing that would happen on the way. And I chose to pay attention to them. Sometimes we don't. And we go through life and we ignore those. So I don't
Yes.
know why I did. I took a conscious decision to pay attention to that and move more into that direction. But I
Mhm.
had ignored it at times for sure in the past.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what was going through my mind? I don't know. I was lots of things. But I think quietening the mind was probably one of the best things I could do because I was like high stress, high anxiety. And suddenly I
Yeah.
could like, ooh, slow down a little bit.
Yes. I think that's the key point right there, right? Like there was COVID came around and it actually
Mm,
broke your pattern. It's like it broke your pattern of just like constantly on the go and moving and needing to achieve. And it broke the pattern, gave you a second to kind of be with yourself. And you were
yeah.
already open. One thing I always, say is like, we just have to be willing. We just have to be willing. Are you even willing to consider like a different option or that things could be different? Just that willingness in your spirit, I think sometimes can
Mm,
really be like the just cracking the door open a little bit allows the
exactly.
universe to come in and say, oh, okay, she cracked the door. Let's get in there and show her what some other
Exactly.
things.
Because where there's a will, there's a way. That saying is
Mhm.
so true. And your will
Mm.
is your intent. It is your power. We're powerless without our will. That's why,
Right.
you were given your will, which is your freedom of choice. I'm
Hmm.
choosing to direct this in this way.
Hmm.
And the conscious awareness of our will, right, which might differentiate us from animals. They might just have a will or a instinct. Um, and using that is so powerful. And I think so many people don't realize the power of their will and how to direct it. That's where the miracles come. That's magic. That's like human magic.
Yes. Yes. The power to direct your will, to direct your energy. Absolutely. And and the work that you were talking about that you were doing, the tools, the meditating and the yoga and things like that. I
Yeah.
feel like those practices amongst other things. I mean, like I love, breath work and, EFT and hypnosis, like all the things, because I really do believe that it allows you to quiet the mind in such a way that you can then more consciously direct your energy instead of just being in these habitual patterns that just aren't becoming of you, right? You're like, yeah, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
So, And you tapped into something you said a few moments ago too when you were talking about, enjoying being able to take like a 30-minute like shower or bath, and you're taking
Yeah,
me
yeah.
back because I'm like, yeah, I remember those really quick like power showers. You get them in and then you go. And then it's almost like it feels unreal to be able to sit in a bathtub for 30 minutes and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And
Yeah.
it taps you into and the joy, the pleasure and the joy of yourself. So I'd like
Yeah.
to kind of dive into that a bit, right? Because I know in our conversation too, we spoke about desire. And I think you and I both talked about how at some point in our lives, there was this message that desire or pleasure was like this dirty thing, right? Like, oh, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that. But now you've reclaimed it. And I think so many women can relate to that. So
Mm.
let's talk about that a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, how did you begin to, I guess, really hear your desire and tap into your own pleasures again after years of really being like
Mm.
disconnected from that, you know?
Mm. Yeah, it's so, it just still there's something sometimes when I hear the desire to get a little, ooh, it was that religious upbringing and all the rest. Oh, we can't desire things. That's evil. That's wrong. And it's like, no, that's literally a thing that's gonna pull you into your purpose. And that's your will. You use your will alongside your desires to go live your dream life. And
Yeah.
I actually started to I think well, yoga definitely got me more in touch with my body and a lot of things released. So the asana, the postures of yoga, address your relationship to the past. And when you release that from the tissues in the body, it creates the space for you to allow new life in.
Mm.
That's why often we get stuck, we get a bit tense, and it's stuff that's before the womb, in the womb, after the womb, naught to now. Uh,
Mhm.
I turned 40 yesterday.
Oh,
Naught to
happy
40.
birthday.
Thank you. And and then there's generational stuff. And I believe it's our responsibility to actually release that from ourselves because
Mhm.
we have that option. We were given will to do that. Now, with the desires, I think as you start to release yourself and free yourself up, these things start to filter up. We can start to hear that little voice. We
Mhm.
start to go, oh, I've always wanted to have a motorbike and travel across America like she did. That's so cool. And then we just like dumb it down and go like, no, that's not for me. I could never have that. Right. We really sort of push it away. So it's
Mhm.
going like, well, what if? What if I could do that? And I just had this thing where I was like, well, she can do it. I can do it. She, what has she got that I don't have? I can figure that out. Like most people had probably stuff I didn't have. I came from a small town. We didn't have money. I had secondhand
Mhm.
clothes. I struggled so much with self-esteem and eating disorder and whatever. And, I could see people just doing things, some had less than me and more than me. And I just thought, well, like, you know what? I can do that. If somebody can do it, I can do it. I just somehow
Yep.
knew that. So I kind of had that in me. And then the desire aspect probably came around more through just spending a bit of time. I think I became so masculine in my life and because of surviving and then in the corporate career and all of that,
Yes.
that when it was COVID and lockdown, I could slowly sort of surrender a little bit. And no one had taught me that. I didn't understand it dynamically as well in like a relationship and in our marriage, like how to receive.
Yeah.
I was still like, oh, we're paying 50% each. And I'm in this independent earner. And I was actually dying for my partner to say, like, don't worry, you don't have to work. You can just take some time off and figure yourself out. Whereas I had this guilt all the time. But when I guess, yeah, the desires definitely, I'd say, woke up things in me, and then I just enjoyed getting joy and pleasure from these different healing modalities that I started to study. But it's
Mhm.
only probably more recently that I've started to look into much deeper desires, not like, oh, I love to make music, learn languages, I love to make art.
Yeah.
Really getting into the creative side because I believe that we were created to create. And when we're
Mhm.
not creating, that's when we start to feel really unhappy and really stuck,
Ah,
you know? Like
I find that too.
even making a cake, like I went to make cupcakes yesterday, which I haven't done. I'm not really a baker or anything. I made a recipe, I made some carrot cakes, and I started to feel better because I was having actually really tough last 3 days. Really, really, really challenging, really down. And I'm like, oh God, my birthday's coming. I don't want to see anyone. I'm like, let me bake some stuff. Let me make something, And I started to feel a little bit better. I was like, oh, let's give this to all the staff at the restaurants and some kids. So it's just a simple thing of creating can
Hmm.
almost wake up your desires again. I think there's many ways for us to tap into our desires, but I think it's something that we have to do. And even I've looked into some like sort of kinkier stuff lately. Not that desire needs to be in any way sexual, but like
Hmm.
playing with rope. It's called shibari, and I know that saw some women doing it. These corporate
Hmm.
professionals, and I was like, that looks so cool. Like I'd love to hang upside down and be tied and try all these
Yeah.
things. So I'm like, oh, I've got to put that on the desire list now, you know. I said to my partner, I was like, babe, right, we got to learn to tie some ropes. We got to do this. He's like, okay, cool. I'm in. Let's
Right.
have
He's like, I'm
fun.
there.
Like we should be having fun. I think like we stop
Right.
having fun and playing and doing stuff and getting so serious.
Yeah.
And I play is so linked to desires, I would say.
Hmm.
You know, um,
Absolutely.
just playing and enjoying things. Like I desired to play in my garden and work in the garden here. I think that helped me
Hmm.
so much last year, just connecting back to nature. Suddenly new things were coming out of me. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make this potion. I got this idea I've actually got my spray here. I would use it, but like this is I'm obsessed with this spray. I made it myself, and it's like organic rosemary water and organic orange
Oh,
blossom from the farm, and it's
wow.
special Damascus oil, and it has helped me so much with my skin and my hair. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I made a magic potion, from
Yeah.
the garden, you know.
That's
And
beautiful.
I've always desired to make things like this. And I
Hmm.
always thought, oh, I can't. I'm not an herbologist. I don't have a pharmaceuticals degree. I don't have this and that.
Right.
Bullshit. You can go do anything you want.
Yes.
I followed my little
Yes.
design and made a spray, and guess what? People bought them. So
Hmm.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's like small moves, just doing small little things like can get you somewhere.
Yeah. I really love that. And it's giving yourself permission
Yeah,
to play and to be playful with it. I
yeah,
think that a lot of the women that I work with are very much ambitious, they're visionaries, but there's this ambitious part of them that's very driven to, create this amazing life. But what I find is that sometimes we overdrive ourselves into that masculine energy, like you were talking about, where you're just like, control and things have to be this way and I'm independent and this and this. And it really does, I think it does something, it kind of breaks you down little by little, little by
yeah,
little, little by little. And so just tapping back into and even taking time to just sit and dream a little bit and just think about like what did you used to love? Like I remember when I was in college, I took a
yeah.
what do you call it? I took a it was a pottery class, but we used like the pottery wheel and we would like form the clay. It was the most amazing experience ever.
Wow.
And I remembered this not long ago, and I was like, you know what? I need to get back into doing that just for the only simple purpose of I just knew that I enjoyed it. I didn't really care about whether or not the cup I made I could use. I just wanted to make stuff.
Yeah,
And it felt good, and it opened up a part of me that I had closed down for so long because, oh, I was trying to be serious and was trying to make sure I was doing the right thing and trying to make sure that I was being the right thing and acting the right way.
yeah,
And for anyone who's listening right now, it's like think about when you're out and about. Like one of the things I do now when I'm out and about, if I get that ping of like, oh, that's interesting, or oh, like you were mentioning
mm,
about Shibari, right? It's like, oh, that what is that? I want to like let yourself be curious, right?
yes,
And open up to it. And maybe you try something and you're like, oh, that's not for me, but that's okay. Like you allowed yourself to explore a bit. And every single
yeah,
time that we do that, we're actually accessing a deeper, more true part of ourselves because we're, like you said, we're meant to, yes, obviously you need to, there are things that you're here to achieve, but you're also meant to have fun and be
yes.
open and play and be curious and not take everything so darn serious all the time.
What if that is the only thing we're meant to do?
Oh
What
my
if all
gosh.
we're meant to do is have a blast? and
What?
try everything. And if we want to have 10 children, we have 10. And if we don't have any, we don't. And if we like
Right.
just want to travel and wear rags and sell shoes on the side, whatever. What if
Right.
that's all we're meant to do? I really think we need to start questioning ambition. Where do you get when you're
Right.
ambitious? Where do you
Mm-hmm.
get? You get to the top of a corporate ladder, you get the maybe you get the biggest energy healing business in the world with 10 million clients. But does it ever make you happy?
Exactly. Is
I
there true
think
fulfillment?
questioning ambition is really important, like
Hmm.
because I think there's layers to ambition. It's more like is it something we've been taught? Be this, do this, and then you're gonna, I don't know, or you're gonna have all these things, but like I don't know. I think there's a whole conversation around that to be had because if you're ambitious, doesn't that mean that I'm going after something despite other things? I'm putting these things sort of to the side. It's this
Hmm.
or that, not this
It
and that.
gets to be all. Yes.
Yeah,
It is about redefining that. And that's why I say, like in the beginning, I was talking about this is the redefining success movement because it's not,
yeah,
I think as women, as leaders, like we need to really be defining what it means for us. Like we have a choice and you get to choose what ambition looks like for you, what desire looks like for you, what pleasure looks like for you. Like you get to define it yourself. And like you
yeah,
said, question it. Like just question that. Like, well, wait a minute. This is how, okay, I was taught to believe this or operate this way, but is that ultimately true? Is there another way that I could see this? Is there another lens that I could view this through?
yeah,
And it just opens up so many different, when we do that, it's almost like life becomes like this playground, right? It feels like
yeah,
magic. You're like, oh my gosh, I could go and do this and I could do that and I can do this. And it gets you out of your head. It gets you out of your head and just
yeah.
enjoying life.
But it's interesting because as you were saying that, I was trying to remember, my when I was younger, like, what is it that got us here? Our parents telling us, because if we were like, oh, I want to go off and be a ballet dancer, they're like, oh,
Hmm.
but that's not going to pay the bill. Uh,
Exactly.
that's just, that's fun, but you're old by the time you're 20. You're going to need a real job and stuff like that. So it just got programmed and conditioned out of us. And
Right.
that's is such a shame. And let's be honest, like that's kind of the way the world is being made. If you look at the school
Hmm.
system, I mean, that's really what they were doing. They've just been preparing nice corporate workers
Yeah.
on different layers that
Mhm.
people needed, and that's it. It's not really like certainly in South Africa, a Bachelor of Arts. They called it a bugger all degree, a BA.
Oh, uh-huh.
Bugger all. Like you get nothing for that. Oh, go play with your arts for a little bit, but then go be a lawyer. Like let's be real.
Mm.
And it's like, whoa, all right, go. So for me, it was straight to business science degree, not like, oh, I could be an artist to do things like that. And I
Right.
allow myself to think that. I was like, no, man, I've got my own business by the time I'm 30, this and this and this, got to get out. And, you know, you totally forget that playful element, that side of which I really think is all we are here to do, is to experience the experience of life, living,
Mm.
of
Mm.
all that this world has to offer us. We're so multidimensional. Everything
Yes.
around us is so multidimensional, but we can't see it if we're in that ambition loop, which
Hmm.
we know doesn't feel great. Like who's like
Hmm.
out there going the happiest on LinkedIn because I just got to this thing, and you know, you can always tell by somebody like, have they written that book that's inside of them? Have they made the painting? Have
Right.
they gone to the pottery class? Have they, some
Hmm.
people can do it all and have this huge multi-million business, and they're also having art, creating all these things. But then it's also like, why do you constantly need to be doing it? That's also a little bit of a
Right.
distraction there, so. And then
Mhm.
there's also the trap of following all of our pleasures. We call it the oja in Sanskrit, like, oh, the pleasures of life. You always get warned about them. You've got the seven deadly sins as well. You've got your greed and your gluttony, because you can go a little bit too down the
Right.
of pleasures. So it's always going to be refining and figuring out and balancing things a little bit. But um, yeah, but the thing is that we get to have all of these things. We actually have the option. And so many people, I think, these days, and especially women, don't realize that because they've been told to be, now hyper independent. We must be equal to men in the workplace, in all these ways. But men cannot grow children, create children, or breastfeed and play the
Exactly.
nurturing, energetic role that women play. They simply can't. And
Hmm.
we simply can't do things that men do. We are not the
Right.
same. So we shouldn't
Hmm.
even be trying to be the same. This is
Hmm.
my side, my opinion. This is just some crazy hack to get more tax money in because you're just getting a woman into the workforce in that way and disrupting perhaps the family unit and communities. Because
Right.
I look at my female friends and they're not happy. They are really masculine and endlessly shopping online to like fill those holes inside, have 3 kids. Maybe we should have a
Mhm.
fourth.
Mhm.
So there's just more
Yeah.
and more, and it's like they're not fulfilled.
Not being honest with themselves. And I think that's
Yeah.
where like the courage and the bravery comes in because it's
Mm,
not that you know, it's not that anything is ever like wrong or bad. I think it's like
yeah.
when we're not honest with ourselves, right? When we're really just not asking ourselves the question, like, is this really fulfilling for me? Like, I remember, like, when I was in
They're too
corporate, it's like,
scared.
right, like, I could have stayed in that space out of fear. Because, I mean, you talked about, I think, like the golden handcuffs in our conversation
Yeah.
before. And I was like, yeah, I get that. There was this like push pull of like, yeah, but I'm getting a really great paycheck and I've got this title. And so, I mean, you
Yeah.
can easily fall into like the status quo and be like, well, you know what? I'll be fine. Let me just, because that it seems like less of a risk to stay than it does
Yeah.
to actually go out and bet on yourself or
Yeah.
or challenge the status quo, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's just heartbreaking sometimes, even when, I was watching a video the other day of a woman she's a big influencer and she was talking about how she didn't have the desire to have kids. And people were just like, "Oh my God, like what do you mean?" And when I was reading the comments, I thought, "Wow, so there's this like bigger idea that just says like every woman should have a kid." And if you decide you don't want to have kids, like something's wrong with you. And so
Yeah.
it just we're constantly bombarded with these ideas of how we're
Yeah.
supposed to be. And it is really time for us to take ownership as women of
Mm,
to decide who do we want to be? Who do you want to be? It's okay
mm.
if you want to completely change your life, reinvent yourself, step into a new identity. You get to
Yeah.
do that.
And
You
it's so
get
much
to do
fun.
that.
Why don't you do it? You can do it every year.
Right. Like there's no box that you have to fit into
Yeah.
in order to do that. So,
Yeah. It's exactly that I went through, like, oof, that fear of, and I kept saying, no, I'm fine. I'll just work harder and I'll do more and I'll go to the
mhm.
gym more. And nothing I did was things were just getting worse. Either
Yeah.
I stayed the same or I tried to do more of the same and things just got worse. And I was like, whoa, something like drastically has got to change here.
Right. You're
The
just like, I have
burning
to.
platform of change.
Mhm. It's like something has to change or something has to shift. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Like, I know we touched on a little bit of of around this idea of shame as well. And I think that, you and I both are in a community where, shame is talked about a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just, wondering when you like along your journey, when did you first begin to realize that maybe you were carrying some shame or some things that wasn't even yours? And you were like, you know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I'm not subscribing to that anymore. And you just allowed yourself to break free from that.
Mm. I I've had, I think back to things and I had inklings. I'd have a conversation and something would come up and stick there a little bit. I remember I had a conversation with my mom and she'd something like, I just don't know why, but you carried so much shame as a kid. And I was like, and you don't know why? What? Let's go there. Let's talk about that, mom.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you recognized it, but we have not discussed this. And I'm like 33, I'm having a nervous breakdown, and you don't know why. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, the shame and it's interesting. I have someone close to me whose child is young and carrying around a lot of shame. And even though she, hasn't done the things that maybe our parents would have done, like body shaming or, oh, you're so pretty, or you so this, or all sorts of silly things that adults used to say to kids, but that stick with you and go into
Hmm.
your subconscious. and she's struggling with it. So it's interesting. Like the shame thing, we're so open as children, we're so open energetically that the tiniest little thing can start to build shame. And you just need that little piece of grit that goes in there, and then it starts to build and starts to build. And
Right.
again, it becomes our responsibility as to whether or not we're going to release the shame from us. And there are so many incredible ways to do it now. It's really not even hard. Just simple embodiment exercises, simple hypnotherapy stuff, energy healing that can just take that out of you, with ease. Um,
Yeah.
and people aren't aware of that, so that's like my life's work. It's like, it doesn't have to be hard. Trust me, it was so hard for me. I figured it out. If I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it.
Hmm.
But I started to question things again. It was the yoga, I'd say, that was opening me up. And because I would cry
Okay.
after classes or after postures,
Oh,
and then I
yeah.
studied them and found out that, oh, that's where this is carried. That's where shame is carried. That is where anger is carried. This is where your grief is, or lack of love. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? I was like, that's so accurate. I can feel that, like what they've just
Yeah.
said. It
Yes.
was mind blowing for me. And then I just kept thinking, why don't we know this? Why is this not
Oh,
mainstream?
yeah. I know, and you're right, because I think it's because we're such a intellectually based society. Because with yoga, like you have to, like I love yoga. I've even considered like getting my yoga teacher's certification, all that good stuff, because I really enjoy yoga. Um, and really for that reason too, because I've noticed like some postures, like in my very beginning of this whole journey for myself, of where your chest is really open, I would have the biggest emotional break. I'm like, what is going on? And not even realizing that that posture being open like that is so vulnerable, and it's such an opening, but it's also like really healing. And I think that we don't talk about this, yes, because we're such an intellectually based society. But what I believe we get to move to, and what you're talking about through yoga here, is getting more in touch with the body. Like
Yeah,
our bodies hold so much wisdom and so
so
much
much.
knowledge, but it does require us to slow down and get out
Yeah,
of this old paradigm of what ambition is, or what success is. It's
yeah,
dropping out of that old paradigm and really
yeah.
recreating your own understanding for yourself of what that is, and
Mm,
seeing what gets to happen when you just slow down a little bit and say,
yeah. And,
I'm gonna
because
figure
control is actually an illusion. There is
that
absolutely nothing you can control. And I thought, oh, I can control my diet. I control what I eat, because that was like the only thing I thought I could control. But even that like got out of control.
out.
Uh,
Hmm.
it's such an illusion. And this has been a real like balancing act for me, figuring out like, so what does it mean to control, to release, to control, to surrender? Um,
Hmm.
you know, because in our body, even like, we have domain over our body, and our body is our vehicle. And frankly, it is the temple. Without the body and the mind, we can't experience this reality. We can't have this experience.
Right. Right.
We have to be in matter, in density, for consciousness to experience itself. And it's all in the body. And instead of seeing our body as this thing, I don't know why. Maybe, it's funny, you go back. You know what I did recently? I was seeing a lot of the Britney Spears videos popping up on my Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And I watched them because she's actually quite incredible, Britney Spears. And if you look at how talented she was, she wrote her own songs, she played the piano, all of that stuff was
Hmm.
actually her creativity.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and she was very much aware of things, and in her body, and releasing all of these things. And but then, something just kind of like went really drastically wrong. And
Right.
but I went back and I looked at the headlines and how they would talk about her. And she was stunning, her body. And then you see the headline on a magazine. She's in a bikini looking incredible. And they're like, oh, Britney Spears, thunder thighs. And if you
Yeah.
were to look at that picture now, you would be like, she's literally got the best body I've ever seen.
Right. Like,
What is
what are you
she
talking
wrong?
about?
So you know what? It's not just us. There has been this war on women,
Hmm.
war on our bodies. Hate your
Hmm.
body. Take all the diet supplements, take all the gym memberships, buy all the different clothing. There is a war
Right.
on body through companies that want to make money.
Yeah. It's what it
And
comes.
we have been totally brainwashed. It hit me as a kid. I spent all my money on magazines, endlessly reading Women's Health, everything. Horrible
Right.
eating disorder for 27 years. Can't just blame them, but you know what? I can to a degree. If I hadn't seen that kind of stuff, yeah, I mean, the stuff you see on television, the headlines of every magazine, every photo of some woman with her cellulite, and then next selling the next diet. Every magazine had a new diet.
Yes. Yes.
We
And it just
we've just
continues.
been brainwashed.
Yes. It just perpetuates the idea that you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good. Like that's the
And that
underlying
your
message.
body's
You're not
against
good
you.
enough.
You're not good enough.
Exactly.
Your body is against you. Nothing's working
Hmm.
for you. You must take these things and find these things outside of yourself to make yourself feel better
Yes.
and look better. It's everything outside of you. And it's actually no, wrong. It's
Exactly.
everything inside of you. And you have everything inside of you to be
Exactly.
more than enough.
That is my whole, like, I am so, so passionate about that. Like, I speak through the lens of business a lot. And I really do believe, I'm like, success in our businesses, it really does come down to business has to happen on the inside. Like
Yeah.
it's about who you are on the inside, who you're being on the inside, and that is what gets to then kind of overflow into the business versus this like outside in approach. Well, let me go find the
Yeah.
next strategy. Let me go find the next this or the
Yeah.
next that. And even sometimes in the coaching industry and in the business industry, I can see a little bit of that like you need this in order to get this. And it just perpetuates again
Yeah.
that idea of you're not good enough and you're not doing this. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
And we need women like you who are doing this work to help people reconnect back with themselves,
Mm.
back with their truth, and back with, their desires and pleasures. And then from that space, it's like, oh, okay, now I want it. This is amazing. This feels so magical, and I've unlocked so much inside of me. I can't wait to go share this with the world. I can't wait to go help other people do this because if I did this, then yes, I know that you can too.
Yeah.
That's a different energy,
Yeah.
than pointing out the quote unquote like flaws,
Totally.
you
So,
know?
with the shame thing, that's, I think, where it came from. My parents,
Mm-hmm.
my mom had been shamed. She'd been shamed in the church. And
Mm-hmm.
that, shamed for being a woman. How about that? You shamed for
Yeah.
what you were born as.
Mm-hmm.
You are less than another human being that has a different physiology to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Say that
Yeah.
again. So the shame is built into our society.
Mm-hmm.
It's put
It
shame.
is.
You shame because you have a darker skin. What
Mm-hmm. It's
the
built into the fabric.
heck is
Yes.
that? I come from South Africa. We had apartheid. We have 14 national languages and hundreds of other languages,
Wow.
unofficial ones, and every color in the rainbow. And I'm actually just reading the most incredible book about, the slave trade and all sorts in the Caribbean, but it's written quite beautifully.
Mhm.
And the French colonies, and just how
Yes.
people separated themselves. And I think shame is like we have centuries of shame in us
And
at
yes,
the moment. And as we
absolutely.
heal ourselves, I think we're liberating that and releasing all of that. And
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
we I think, again, we have a responsibility to do that because once you are aware, once you know, you cannot not know, and
Exactly. Yeah.
we are the sum of our ancestors. They are living and breathing through us. We've got every
Mhm.
experience I've ever had in our DNA. That is
Mhm.
literally science. So I think I've done a lot of work in shame and releasing that and releasing ancestral patterns, a lot of healing. And then I've actually specifically gone in and gone up through certain, because they've called to me in my sessions to go up and release. One was like 28 lines back, shame around,
Um,
and it was powerful. And when I released that within 3 days, things came
mhm.
right in that area of my life. And I was like,
Yes.
boys,
Yeah.
why did I doubt that was going to work? So shame
That's
is like, it's
amazing.
actually this thing that's carried through the generations.
Yes.
So we don't even, we shouldn't even be that hard on ourselves. Like, and this is the thing is that women have been so hard on ourselves and everybody's been so hard on us. And then we're always the hardest on ourselves, aren't we?
We
That
are.
voice
Yeah.
that's there to saying, be thinner, do more, be better, be a better mom, be a better cook, look perfect,
Hmm.
make the perfect lunch for your kids. Oh, all of
It's
it.
never ending. Like
Yeah.
it's never ending. And this is where it's like we have to take back ourselves. Like we have to take ourselves back and say, okay, no, and that's this whole idea of, just sovereignty,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's like learning how to walk in this world as a sovereign being and not
Mm,
allowing the external to sway you in such a way that you forget like
mm,
who you are. And understanding too, like I like that you pointed out the point of, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. Like we are carrying so much, shame just from our lineage, ancestors and things like that. And so we have to recognize that. Like I tell this to my husband all the time. I'm like, do you realize like there are things in our DNA, right? That it's like we read stories about, our ancestors and things that they went through. And he's big in like really studying like the slave trade and things like that. And I was like, do you realize like all of that, like that is in our DNA? It's like we wonder why things come up or why this feels like this or like that, because there's so much of it ingrained and we get to address it and look at it and release it and heal it. Because when we do the work today, you're absolutely right. Like we are healing generations behind us and also
mm.
ahead of us when we do
Yeah.
this work. So, oh my goodness. Okay. All
It's
right,
so
Megan.
beautiful that we have this opportunity. And my message is everybody is scared, like we say to be brave and to be courageous, and it's the 0.001% that actually do this and step out of whatever society is doing at the time, because humans have done this forever since
Yeah.
we've had humans build structures and build things and controlled each other and enslaved each other and abused each other and done crazy stuff,
Mhm.
the lower mind aspects of us. And it is up to us to go, well, heck, I want to step out of this. And once we do just make that decision, you know just go. It's not that hard. Like I don't think I needed to do 10 years of yoga. If I found the energy healing first or trusted in hypnotherapy, oh my God, I don't know. I'd be, who knows where I'd be. I mean, that's a bit silly to look at that way, but actually there are shortcuts and it doesn't have to
Right.
be that hard. It's so
Yeah.
healing. We can sit there doing our back bends and releasing all of that kind of stuff. Now I just back bend freely and I have the time of my life, but I used to cry
Right.
after camel pose. Whew. I
Oh
was
my
like, what
gosh.
is
That's the
with
name of the
me?
pose. That's the
Camel
name of the
pose.
pose.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just cry. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, what if people see me? Oh no. I'd be at
Right.
the back of the class and I'd be sobbing. And
Yeah.
I was so lonely. And I mean, all this stuff was, and then I'd start to have conversations with my parents. So it opened up a lot of things for me.
Yeah.
But there are just so many amazing ways and to become more sovereign. And I think I just got to the point where I was just like, and I just say to my sister, F that. I've got one effing life.
You have
Who
one life.
effing cares? If I quit my job and go, like, what? And I would just say that. It became like my mantra.
Yeah.
Like I was going to
Oh
make a
my
t-shirt
goodness.
with it. And
Right.
people were just looking at me like, has she lost the plot? But they were also curious that what
They were
was,
curious.
next.
Exactly. Yeah, they were curious too because they're like, wait a minute, like I think she's on something over there, and we want some of that. We think we want some of that over there
Yeah.
that she's on. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh
I mean, I
gosh.
think one of the ways, I don't know if you want to go into this quickly or if we've got time, but just if you want to leave any of your listeners with a practice that can
Yes,
be so
please.
helpful, which helped me to understand my desires because they were really blocked. They were really blocked. I just thought they were husband, like great business, traveling the world, retire. Like I was in that model, God, little
Mhm.
did I know. But when I sat and worked with a coach and I imagined my most perfect day, woo, as soon as that happened, I realized, oh dear, there was a big problem in my life, which was my marriage.
Oh
But
goodness.
there were just things I was just like, whoa, hang on a minute. Like I've structured my day. I get up, do this, and I go to the gym and I get to my office and I do this. And like I didn't know how to have freedom and space in my day. And then the weekend was for straight up in the morning to a yoga class and then to a brunch or then to this. And not trying new things. And I started to imagine this perfect day and I started to write it down and it started to
Mhm.
grow and then maybe
Mhm.
grow into like, oh, what do I really want? Maybe if I had my own business, what would that even look like? I don't know. All I know is
Right.
strategy and reputation and corporate comms and
Right.
so I started to allow through this process. So writing down that most perfect day and the way to do it is like, what if you wake up tomorrow and you've got 10 million euros or dollars in your bank account? I'm not going to give you more than that because then you might just become a crazy person. But 10 million is enough. Maybe you only need 1 million.
Right.
Your country that you're in, it has no name. You have no culture, you have no religion, you have no ties to anybody, don't owe anyone anything. It doesn't matter what your education is, you can do anything in the world and it gets downloaded like that lady in the fifth element. Zzz, all right, I'm going to go do that. What would you
Yes.
what would you do if you had this ultimate freedom? What would your day look like?
Mm.
No, what would you do? And still, actually, I think I'm going to do that again tomorrow. I think I'm going to wake up tomorrow and
Yeah,
choose
you're
this
inspiring me to
change,
do that.
it could just
Yeah.
keep changing as well. And you're like, oh, well, actually, I did all these things. I've got had my most perfect days. I reached that.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Yeah.
expanding into like, whoa, what else could it look like? Am I happy with this? Does this work for me? And then I play around and tweak it,
Hmm.
try new things and add that in. But if
Hmm.
anyone's listening, I would just really recommend just try that. It's for free. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
expansive. And yeah, you just free yourself, free your mind.
Free your mind. Oh my gosh. Yes. That is such a, you're inspiring me to tap back into that because I've done that before too. But I love this. I like what you've added to this though, this idea of you're waking up, your country has no name. There's no, like you're not tied to
Nothing.
anything. Like it's just
Yeah,
you and you have it's $10 million. Like what's your day? What do you do? So
yeah.
yes. So you
Let's
all.
do it. Let's do it and compare notes.
Yes, yes. So y'all listening, do that exercise. And you know what would be fun is like if you decide to do this exercise, let us know. Like I'm going to
Yeah,
know where to reach me at. I'm at Soulful Success by Design on Instagram. We'll put Megan's information in the show notes. Like send us a message or tag us or whatever. Like because I think that
totally. Oh, I'd
it's
love to see
fun.
that because I want to be inspired. I've got a little
Right.
bit bored. I'll admit I've been stuck. I've almost been quite depressed the last 2 months. There's things going on here that's so out of my control, even though control is an illusion.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really got me down and building up to my birthday and all this stuff. And I'm
Right.
really struggling. And I'm like, oh God, I can't find the inspiration. I've
Yeah.
been that mushy caterpillar, and other
Mm.
people do inspire me. I'd love to see what you guys come up with.
Yes.
We don't know
Yes.
what we don't know. And by sharing these kind of things, it's awesome. I
It
love learning
is.
stuff. So you have to tag us or like make a video and
Yeah.
be like, I'm trying half of my most perfect day. I'm gonna do something new today. I'm gonna do the pottery class because Kendra said that
There you
was
go.
epic.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. All right. Okay. Well, we are going to wrap it up here. This conversation's been so good. I know we could talk about more. So I'm going to put your information in the show notes, Megan, but I would love
Awesome.
for you just to share with us here, like verbally, where can people connect with you? Where do you hang out the most? Like, what do you have going on right now? Those things. And then we'll close out
Awesome.
the show today.
So, what is it? My legacy, my thing is called Rose Wellness. I live on an island in Greece called Rhodes. It's a very spiritual island. It's a very special place. I moved here, I retired here 4 years ago, left that crazy life behind and started something new. And the
Mhm.
Rhodes Wellness, it's just, about connecting people back to nature. Because we are nature. And when we stray away from that, we start to move into dis-ease. And
Yeah.
well, we have all the answers, and we just find our way back home through a wide range of different modalities that I offer here. And you can find me on Facebook on Rhodes Wellness. You can find me on Instagram as Megan F. Ballantyne.
Mhm.
And I'm soon to start up my TikTok. I had avoided that. Like, I didn't need so much social media after leaving my job. I just went off tech for quite a while, but now I'm sort of ready to go back onto it. And I'm actually tomorrow, Saturday morning, which is, yeah, just this portal between my birthday and it's very high energy days at the moment. I'm running an energy activation class tomorrow morning. It's very last minute, but we can put the
Oh,
details in if you want.
nice.
So it
Yeah.
is going to be basically just a high energy class. So I'm an energy healer. I train other energy healers, and I have a certain access to certain frequencies that I can bring in very quickly, and you can embody them and work through stuff very quickly without even doing any hard work. It's actually a lot of
Mhm.
fun. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna run an energy activation masterclass tomorrow. So I can drop the details in for that. It's 8 a.m. here in Greece. Yeah, and I've got a few things coming up,
Beautiful.
but it's if anybody wants to connect with me, you can have a free call with me online, and
Yeah.
if you're interested in really simple, quick impact and fast moving results, I highly recommend just dropping in for an energy healing session. It changed
Mhm.
my life, absolutely changed my life. And
Love it.
yeah, I just right now it's just the most powerful modality I've come across. And we're all different, so I've had many different modalities to offer, but
Right.
this one is just like boom, rocket ship, you know?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that's
it.
me.
All right. Well, Megan, thank you so much. This conversation has been so nurturing.
Thank
And
you.
yes, to everyone listening, again, Megan's information will be in the show notes. And yeah, do the exercise that she has suggested. And again, let us know how that turns out for you. What came up for you? What did you notice?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. And I will see you all again on the next episode. Bye.
Thank you so much, Kendra.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design or visit my website at kendrakWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.